So everyone is the session names DNS on steroids, but reality what we hear is that not only DNS is on steroids, but also legislation on steroids, cybersecurity on steroids, and what do we have as customers? What is our part? So I have questions about all the things I heard, the cybersecurity threats, so the domain hijacking, phishing, DDoS attacks. How do I can be safe in the internet if I have my domain name? So in that case, the more robust things I have to do, security measures to protect my domain name, sign it with DNSSEC, have the multi-factor authentication for the DNS management system, regular security checks on my domain name. And that's not all. The legislation, the new compliance with the new regulations like NIS2, what does it take from me as a customer? I cannot just register domain name as simply as it was some years ago. Now I have to give more information on me, more data. So come on, it's not easy for me if I want to have my privacy. Who is privacy? It's not more possible. So that's a big problem for me. All the stricter data protection rules, identity verification. Where does it go? Do I have to register a domain name in Europe, or do I have to move my domain names or register domain names outside Europe, in the US or somewhere else where there are no such strict regulations? So, and the things about that is, do I have to move all my domain names to some registrar? To which registrar can I move them? Do I have to trust them? Is there any place where I can find the information which registrars are trusted? Or no? Or do I have to do it all by myself, and go deep into the technical things to make a DNSSEC signings, all the SSL certificates, proper DNS configs? Do I have to do it on my own? And all of this comes with greater cost for me as a customer. Nothing gets cheaper. And about innovations, can I have my .lv domain name on blockchain? Is it possible to get it? Which of the new domain names, new gTLDs, which one should I choose as a new businessman or startup owner? That's so many questions for me. So are there any new innovations coming to the CCTLDs? For example, .lv. What can I expect? So many concerns.
Almost a full panel. Is there anyone else who'd like to raise a hand and give their 5 cents? If no, then I'll sit down as the moderator. So we've heard a lot of things today. Traditional perspective. All the concerns and all the newcomers in the traditional DNS, new gTLDs, the new gTLDs. Then Innovator came in, Helmuts, and mixed everything up with Web3 domains, introduced with the main players in the field, concerns as well, and benefits. And then came Kirils, dropped the mic with the security, and said, well, Web3 is Web3, but there are so many things that is not working precisely in DNS, in traditional DNS as well. Like, what should we do with that? Legal expectancies, like, I think the legal community really does not like blockchain domains.
Actually, I wouldn't agree, because for a lawyer, it's always nice to have new challenges and to work your mind around problems. The same that Tehis does with technical stuff, the lawyers do with legal stuff.
Yeah, so you're like a security from the legal perspective. Yeah, that's it. And then the average Joe with so many questions, both regarding Web3 domains and I bet darknet domains as well. I don't know if you have a .onion or others, if you would like one. But many, many questions. So first, to help average Joe to find a way in all of this DNS world, I have a question. Do you think that this DNS on steroids, this future of DNS, all these innovations like blockchain domains, is it here to stay? Will there be a future, or is it just a fashion that will, due to all the legal and security issues, it will just disappear after a while? What do you think? Let's start with the innovator.
Well, the Web3 domains are already not the future. That's the present. Yeah. They exist. All the best of success for the legal to work, because legal is nothing if they cannot enforce their laws. Now they have issues there. But there are lots and lots of security questions towards Web3, as they haven't been under such attacks as Web2.
That's true, that's true. But I do think Web3 or actually anything is going to stay. Web3 domains. Alternative DNS routes are there. You know, they are there somewhere. I don't believe that Web3 domains will be mainstream. I think they will find their way in niche products. I don't think that mainstream browsers will support it out of the box in the next 10, 20, or 30 years. But I think they'll, in the blockchain world, it's probably going to be used.
And from the legal perspective, how do you think will legal lawyers and cope with all the gaps there?
Certainly, we will catch up. Certainly.
I would like also to ask Katrīna from a traditional DNS point of view. So back in 2012, you had new gTLDs coming in. You already presented a little bit how it shifted the power play. How do you perceive the new gTLDs? Will that be shift again, or that will be the scenario just repeating? And what are your feelings now hearing everything that Kirils and Helmut said about the Web3 domains? What are your main concerns here? I know a lot of questions, but...
Yeah, a lot of questions. Yeah. Well, my main concern is that DNS is too complicated for the average Joe. And that's true not just for the traditional DNS, it's true for any new stuff that comes. Because, well, we haven't managed to make it plug and play. It still requires a lot of technical knowledge if you want to set up your own DNS. It's not like, well, I'm sure same was true many years ago when first light bulbs came up, right? So maybe people couldn't change them themselves. They needed, I don't know, 5 people, one standing on the table and others running around. So, but nowadays it is easy. It is easy. We just.
Katrīna, I'm laughing because I just set up new light bulbs. It took me 2 days. To create the Wi-Fi network, connected correctly, block China out.
And don't forget to upgrade your gateway, whatever you have. But that is a problem that we need to think about the average Joe. Yeah. We can solve our problems, and that's what we do. But how to make things easier for people? And that's not what Web3 does. I think they make things even more complicated. And I probably disagree with Kirils, who says that browsers will never... I think things might change if there is a momentum, if there is a critical mass of users who want to use it. So, yeah, it's quite possible to have Web3 alternative routes in browsers. But again, only if we make it simple to the end user. And you had many other questions, like, please remind me, because I managed to forget them.
What are your concerns with the upcoming new gTLDs that you mentioned as well?
Well, the thing is that nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knew the first round. Yeah, we got pretty good response. And nobody knows what happens now. Maybe some people will see that, okay, there are enough TLDs already. I don't want to jump into the game. Maybe there will be many good ideas how to evolve the space. I'd say let's wait and see, because as I said, your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea what happens, and if anyone has a crystal ball, be my guest to share your thoughts. But at this point, nobody knows.
So let's wait and see.
Let's wait and see. But it doesn't mean that we should not address all the issues that Kirill mentioned, or all the issues that Iveta mentioned. And actually, what Iveta already said about all those legal challenges, I think one of the things that we see nowadays is that governments are coming in and they regulate heavily to address at least part of the problems that Kirill's mentioned, and maybe maybe create new ones. That's absolutely I'm sure that that's what's going to happen. But if governments see that they can't have influence on Web3 domains, on blockchains, oh, that thing is dead. They will kill it off because governments will want to regulate. And again, it probably depends on the critical mass. Because no government care about the internet when only a handful of people used it. Nowadays, especially when people start complaining about those cyber criminals and everything, so governments just feel compelled to do something. Well, they do it the way government usually does, but sometimes when they address an issue, it just blows out of proportion. But something needs to be done, and they have realized that, and they try to address the issue.
So I would just add what Katrīna said. I would say that policies and regulations that are created are focused harshly on consumer protection, privacy, or end-user protection, basically, and data security. So, of course, we will see more and more requirements coming in if there will be problems, complaints and issues, for example, in cybersecurity, cyber incidents, where law enforcement will probably have and already have huge problems with issues that are coming out of the usage of the Web3 and other blockchain-related technologies. So you mentioned the importance, but are there any existing gaps now, legal gaps in the traditional DNS? Because you mentioned a lot of things that the new Web3 should be looking at, but do you think everything ever being regulated in the traditional DNS is regulated, or there's so much more? So, what do you expect? We have more than 30 years experience with our regulators in the field of DNS, and what we see, we have covered pretty much everything. There is issues with DNS abuse as a technical issue, but we know what laws we will apply and how we will resolve it. So I would say that there isn't anything that haven't been covered, especially when an NIS2 directive have come in. We see that there's just everything that we already done as a service providers or DNS providers just are written down in regulatory acts, and we can agree or not agree how good regulation is, but it's there, and yeah. So maybe in the future there will be really like other issues that will come up, and then governments will see that there is a need for new regulation in the DNS, traditional DNS, besides the blockchain.
Katrīna mentioned a very nice thing about making the DNS more accessible and understandable for average Joe, poor Joe here. And I have a question to Joe. So also, Iveta mentioned the NIS2 directive and all the regulations here. And Katrīna, the making DNS more easy for you to understand and use. Do you think that traditional DNS is going to the right direction, or do you perceive that NIS2 is not helping you at all? And what would you think that would, how would you like to see, what you would like .lv registry to do so it would be as easy as possible for you?
And think carefully before you
No pressure.
No pressure, yes, but for me as a registrant, I would like to have the possibility to register domain name easy without any additional requests. So, okay, I understand any web page, governmental web page, or the project Latvia.lv, you can connect with the bank smart ID or authentication, other authentication. If that's what NIS2 requests, okay, but so do it as easy as possible for the customer. So it's understandable and not a big concern for me, yes? Mm-hmm. And the other thing is really about my data, which will be published. Because NIS2 asks that, yes. From the other side, the cyber criminals can exploit that data, yes. So that are my concerns, and I just want to have it easy and understandable for me, for not a technical guy.
But I bet at the same time secure as well, right?
Yes, of course, I can think with my head.
Yeah.
Too, yes,
yeah.
But there's always other customers who don't think so deep about security, and there always will be the weak link, the guy who will click on any link. So you can make it as secure you want. There's always a weak link.
So regarding security, Kirill, I'm looking at you. You mentioned so many gaps in the DNS itself and so many attacks. Also, controversial things that could be done, like disappearance of 30 ICANN representatives to maybe make the root key disappear.
Not
or
any ideas here.
So if something like that happens, yeah, we have people from ICANN sitting in this room, so be careful with such kind of statements. But so you mentioned a lot of things, but what would be like a lot of things that can go wrong? But what you as a security expert would advise, like top 5 or top things that should people be thinking about when they just register a domain name? They want to protect themselves, or companies want to protect their DNS. Like what is the suggestion here? Give us a solution. Don't frighten us.
Well, you know, choose a trusted registrar that you can work with. Choose one that supports multi-factor authentication. Enable that for your domains. I haven't seen it for .lv, but for .com, enable all the blocks and locks that you can enable, so that domains cannot be transferred too quickly. And personally, for me, I am a special edge case because I'm historically quite technical. But for me, the most important part is I have a local table, local database on my computer that says when every domain is going to expire. Because there's a bunch of scams that send you saying your domain is going to expire, please pay here, and then lots of people fall for that. And on the other hand, if you don't prolong the domain when needed, then you lose it. Once again, I have to commend NIC.lV is quite good there. There's I believe a really good process that allows you to notice. You know, you lose some emails, you lose some customers, but there is opportunity to not lose your domain name. There is enough time after it stops working to get it back. It's really well implemented. Now, from the security perspective, from technical security perspective, DNSSEC is a thing. You can use that. You know, you should of course have more than one NS servers if you do delegate your zone. I don't think it's required technically anymore, but it's still a good practice. Do think of your security architecture and your architecture in general. If your domain name servers are in Latvia, do you have customers and servers? Web servers, for example, outside of Latvia, and do you know, if Latvia goes offline, It may happen, it has happened, it will happen for some periods of time, hopefully short rather than long. But you should, well, I'm sorry, that's how internet works, yeah. So, yeah, so those are some of the tips. Oh, and for privacy, so once again, I'm in a maybe not the average Joe here, but for my company as well, we have some domains that are company domains, and of course, currently, according to how it's set up in Latvia, everyone can see it's my company domain. But we do have some covert operation domains that we use for security testing, and I opt to pay for them myself as the company owner, or register it on my physical person, so that during the test, people cannot see that who it belongs to. But it depends on your situation, right? If you have a legitimate reason to not show who you are, currently the solution is registered in Latvia as a physical individual. Yeah.
Yesterday we had a presentation from CERT.LV, unfortunately only for those in person, and they mentioned that in Poland they have DMARC, DKIM, SPF records, mandatory by law for governmental institutions. How do you see that? Well, that's a gap we should be filling here in Latvia, or you don't think that that's the way to go?
We should. It's also mandatory. I think it will be mandatory for a week or two before some policy failure happens and the relevant regulation loses legal power. Hopefully, it's going to be fixed on time. But still, regardless of that, there's still a gap. We work with private companies and government as well, and even though it's in the law, it's not implemented everywhere, and somewhere it's not implemented correctly. And I know there are some good companies from Latvia that can help you with setting up and managing domain keys for you. So it's quite easy. You should do it for sure.
By the way, if I may add,
yes,
plug in NIC.lV's CTO, Ivo. He has a DMARC solution, absolutely fantastic DMARC.lv. I'm a happy user for myself for the service, excellent. Just in case.
So Helmut, I know that you're not just an innovator per se, but you're also a domain investor. So yes. How do you look at these new gTLDs coming? Is this like a business perspective that you anticipate to come in, or you're more now focused and also on the Web3?
I own around 5% of two-letter .lv market. I invest only in premium CCs, I'm a standard domain investor. These are my lottery tickets. But once a company will come, the price will not be cheap. That's a different thing. The king is .com. .com is the king, and the local CERT.LVs. Mm-hmm. So for .lv in Latvia, if a company wants to establish their prime presence, they will need to have .lv domain name in their brand. So domain names are definitely great investment if those are not trademarks. If those are not trademarks. And another great thing about Latvia, courts are in order, judges are in order. There are reasons why people do not invest in Ukrainian domain name market, in Russian domain name market. The court system is not yet up to the level where it can be influenced by money. And as a domain name investor. Mm-hmm. The same as internet, the domain name ecosystem expands. So originally we just had the main 12 Gs, gTLDs, and then CCTLDs, and there are more and more CCTLDs. Today there are a little bit over 1,200 gTLDs. 1,200, that's 1,200. And around 300 CCs. So
it depends how you count them.
Yes.
If you count only two-letter,
yes.
or if you count them together with IDNs. So it's over 300, 370. I always forget the number, but yeah.
Yes, and
more than 300.
There will be more. There will be more. I'm following up, and I can see that. So, for example, almost all the Web3 TLD companies. So. IT companies who provide services of creating a TLD, a top-level domain name on blockchain for you, yourself as an individual, or for the company, or something else, they consult lots and lots of companies for applying for the new. So the next new gTLD round will be in April 2026, and all the companies that I know, Freename, Unstoppable, D3, NameFi, they all have clients already who will be applying for new Gs. And all those new Gs, general TLDs, they will have their own Web3 solutions as well. But definitely, the TLD market and domain name market is expanding. It is unstoppable.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also have an online question. So our online participants are also very active. I think give it to you or anyone else who want to chip in. The question goes like this. You speak of regulations as means of protecting the people.
Yeah.
But how do you protect of abuse of power? So this is a bit controversial question, but still very controversial people here. Meaning the blocking of domains because we deem them to be harmful. I think this is a very popular question whenever people try to answer regarding domain name blocking or removing of domain names. So what is your view on that?
True. So in this part, our human rights conventions comes into play, and also our constitution that specifically mentions the protection of human rights. And there is this balance against abuse of blocking powers of the state and legal necessity or the basically, each and every blocking order should contain explanation on how and why this resource is doing something that is against current legislative requirements. And resource holders also retain the right, actually, to go to a court, basically, if the order to their knowledge is not correct, or there's something wrong with that decision to block that resource. So the state still maintains those rights of the individual to go to the due process to a court and defend themselves.
So yeah, so it's not the abuse of power, it's just the right to protect people,
so
and it can always be
in order to see whether those blocking orders are truly infringing our human rights, then we should look up the court decisions and count them, how many of those orders have been overturned. So in Latvia, I haven't seen any positive result of that.
Our discussion is coming to the end, and as our CyberChess motto is, what's the next move in chess? So what do you think will be the next move in 5 to 10 years in DNS? Maybe each of you can answer from your perspective. Maybe we should ask Katrīna.
Well, next move would be to have another session and discuss it maybe next year. Well, in 5 years, definitely we will know the results of the second round of new gTLDs. But I think that the main priority still is to work and address those security issues, many security issues that we still have, despite of, as you said, more than 30 years of usage of DNS.
Joe?
To register domain names now, when it's not getting more complicated each month, each year with new legislations and new cyber crimes.
That's a good suggestion. Don't wait, it will only get harder, more expensive as well, I bet.
Of course.
So from legal perspective, for sure, we can expect more requirements on cybersecurity that would relate to DNS via NIS2 directive. Probably maybe some certification schemes will pop up. We'll see.
Helmut?
Definitely more TLDs will be coming out, so people can have more interesting and creative domain names, like what was flower.guru?
Ziedu.guru.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, Ziedu.guru. I really think that Web3 they should have their own ICANN, something like that, an organization. There will be, I think that regulations and the legal side on Web3 will start with those who provide one-click installers for DNS. Definitely a dangerous thing. And there will be, I do expect that, sadly, some people who have created some Web3 technologies will be jailed as well. We are who we are. This has happened already. So that is, but nevertheless, everything looks rosy and good and creative.
Kirill,
I believe that the cat and mouse game will intensify between the people trying to protect us, to defend the internet, to encrypt things and ensure privacy, and not cyber criminals, but the governments. So the cat and mouse game between the defenders and the governments will continue. The governments will try to push for dismantling encryption, accessing everything, being able to meddle with the free flow of data, but the IT guys and girls are right behind, well, right in front, I'd say.
Thank you so much. I think this discussion here already showed that DNS and all topics related to DNS really have a place in cybersecurity conferences. We even didn't touch upon the darknet domains, .onions and all that. That's a whole other area. But I think there really has to be a lot of security awareness raised in the DNS community, also regarding average Joe, to make it more accessible and to decrease the human error. So I hope this discussion opens up also new discussions between not just our panelists here, but also everyone else during the coffee break that is now served in the area. So thank you everyone for coming in, and thank you for the questions as well.
Thank you.